the schedule is set up in such a weird way. We've never really had a schedule like this where all these division games are at the end. I thought this would benefit us from the angle of giving our offense time and opportunities to gel in the first 8 games without having that divisional game pressure on it. And so that way we enter in the back half of the season, as experienced as we possibly can on offense. However, we're seeing teams like the Vikings get off to a really early hot start. And um, do you think that actually all benefits us because they might cool down at the end of the season? Like they can't possibly keep this up. Do you think it benefits us from the injury standpoint? Some of these teams might be a little bit more beat up when we actually face them. So do you think it's even more beneficial than we originally thought for a variety of reasons? Or do you think that going into it with the Vikings being like a powerhouse team or something might actually hurt us? How do you feel about
I
all
think
that?
this is why me and you just absolutely despise the commentary on strength of schedule. We have always said that strength of schedule is absolute nonsense, and as I think the Bears season shakes out, this is what it's a perfect demonstration of it. Like Tennessee is probably bad, but they're mediocre and they're in the middle. And as we go through the schedule, we have like Commanders and Cardinals and Patriots and Packers. Yeah, these were good teams on the slate on paper, but it really doesn't matter because you have to hit them at the right time with the right health injuries and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. This schedule 100% benefits the Bears. Whether or not that's a good thing for us long term, and like let's say you win too many games, the Eberflus sticks around and nothing changes and we stay stagnant. It is what it is. I guess let's get to the playoffs before we start thinking Super Bowl. But yeah, for sure, because the Vikings I think are a nice idea. Will they maintain it? I think everybody in the NFL at this point is just like, okay, every single game, the more you do it, the more we believe in you. But I think everybody's waiting for that other shoe to drop. Packers wise, I think the more the Packers go on in the year, I think there's just more paper, there's more tape to kind of analyze on them. And I don't know how I feel about the Packers right now. They are the same record as us. It is what it is. And then in terms of Detroit, Detroit, yeah, for sure. They're a powerhouse and they're always steady. So the best case scenario is that we catch them at the end of the year when we're on a hot streak and they're dealing with some sort of injuries or a low streak. So I think the schedule shakes out the best case scenario for this year being successful. I think the NFL schedule makers know what they're doing with that in the sense of knowing Caleb Williams is interesting. There's a lot of primetime games at the end of the year. So we're going to see that for sure.
So you know me. I like to go into history and kind of look at historical analytics to kind of drive some of my points sometimes, and just because history repeats itself and there's tendencies and things like that. So teams that have gone 5-0 and missed the playoffs, right? Since 1990, it's only happened 6 times. 93, the
Mm.
Saints, they finished 8-8. 2003, the Vikings finished 9-7. 2009, the Giants finished 8-8. 2009, the Broncos finished 8-8. 2015, the Falcons finished 8-8. And you know who the last one was?
5-0
2016.
team.
They missed the playoffs.
5-0 team that missed Chargers?
The Vikings again
No way.
at 8-8. So if anybody is
Mm.
experienced in going 5-0 and missing the playoffs, it's actually the Vikings more than anybody else. So it would be kind of hilarious, in my opinion, to have them on that list
Yeah.
for a third time, because that would just kind of be wild. But yeah, so it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. These teams can flutter out, and I know we all remember the 7-3 year with Jay Cutler when we were playing against the Chargers, and he ran down a pick six, hurt his thumb, and we went what 9-7 that year. We only won 2 more games that year after that.
Right.
So you can definitely be a hot team and still mess it up at the end of the year. So that's what I'm hoping for now, man. I'm hoping that these teams in our division that are hot, like the Vikings, kind of cool off, come back down to earth, man. Sam Darnold is not the league MVP. That's just he is right now.
Can't happen, right?
It's not
Like,
going to pan out. It's just not. There's no way. I don't know. I can't get behind it and believe it, but
I guess to kind of combine that question with the future of the season, do you see progress with a Bears team? Because my biggest concern, and yet again, I'm going to call myself out when I'm wrong, and I think it's my Luke Getsy PTSD of I never had confidence in Luke Getsy to change week to week, to change his game plan. Are the Bears actually improving in terms of consistency, in terms of game plan, in terms of what they're doing fundamentally as a team? Or do you think this is just kind of like Shane Waldron getting bullied, or is he is he actually maybe a decent offensive coordinator who's actually learning from his mistakes and kind of changing the way his team should play based on what he needs to do?
I think that the Bears have been in a great situation for the offense to be able to grow because they are a defensive led team and that defense has been showing up. It has been doing its job. It's been getting turnovers. They've been getting pressure. They've been doing their part in the game. And so that makes it a lot easier when you don't have to completely lean on the offense, and it gives the offense a little bit more room to be able to make mistakes and still have the games be fine. And so I think just situationally, that allowing Caleb to grow, I think, is the most important factor. I think if Caleb gets good, then Shane Waldron is good enough to call plays and have success. I think there's a lot of coordinators in this league that are good enough. I think there's very few coordinators that take quarterbacks and elevate them through play calling and things like that. I think most of the time it's the other way around. I think most of the time you have the quarterbacks that are looked to make their play callers look good in a way through, you know what I mean? I don't know. I tend to give more credit to the guys on the field all the time. So, there's definitely ways that offensive coordinators can make it as hard as possible for a quarterback to look good. I don't think that's what we have going on. So I don't think it's a complete dumpster fire. And as long as you're flexible in your philosophy and in your thought, then communication goes a long way. I think Caleb's not afraid to communicate, even 6 weeks in. You know, we saw Justin being a very reserved guy. No, Caleb's getting it out there. I think if he's got a problem, it's going to be known and hopefully addressed and fixed, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how stubborn Shane Waldron is. I know Luke Getsy was pretty stubborn, which doesn't usually go a long way. Mike Martz was the worst. Like, no, this is just what we're doing, period. There is no fluctuation. That's not what I think we have here. I think, and I hate using this because I'm not the wait more, give it time guy, but obviously this thing is all still very fresh, right? So if we're looking to have success with this, I think it's going to be in years forward. This year, they'll figure a lot of stuff out.